Welcome back. We are going word by word through Charles F. Haanel's The Master Key System. In our previous lesson, we covered the introduction. In this lesson, we will go through the foreword. Now, the introduction was written by F.H. Burgess. The foreword is written by the author himself. It begins as so. Some men seem to attract success, power, wealth, attainment with very little conscious effort. Others conquer, though with great difficulty. Still others fail altogether to reach their ambitions, desires, and ideals. Why is this so? Why should some men realize their ambitions early and easily, others with difficulty, and still others not at all? The cause cannot be physical, else the most perfect man physically would be the most successful. Again, remember, this was written 100 years ago. So when he uses the word men or man, he's referring to mankind, to humankind. So this includes you ladies as well. The cause cannot be physical, else the most perfect humans, physically, would be the most successful. The difference, therefore, must be mental, must be in the mind. Hence, mind must be the creative force, and must constitute the sole difference between one man and another, or between one woman and another. It is mind, therefore, which overcomes environment and any and every other obstacle in the path of mankind. When the creative power of thought is fully understood, its effect will be seen as marvelous. But such results cannot be secured without proper application, diligence, and concentration. Interesting that he uses those words. Application. Those of you who've read Napoleon Hill's Law of Success in 16 Lessons and Think and Grow Rich, you know that the author, Napoleon Hill, made the statement in those books that the old saying, knowledge is power, is erroneous. It's incomplete. Knowledge applied, knowledge put to use is power. Knowledge is potential power, and it only becomes an active power when it is applied through action. So that's the first word he used here. Diligence. We'll look that word up later. The one I want to really focus on is concentration, because Napoleon Hill, obviously having read this book, The Master Key System, he called concentration. In his books, he referred to concentration as the master key to success. In other words, for everything else I'm teaching you in this book to work, you need to concentrate on concentration more than any other single word, more than any other single attribute. If you have concentration, everything works when you apply it. Continuing. The student will find that the laws governing in the mental and spiritual world are as fixed and infallible as those in the material world. In other words, when you learned in math class that 2 plus 2 equals 4, and that 3 plus 4 equals 7, and that 4 times 4 is 16, you learned that when you were 4, 5, 6, 7 years old. And now that you're 30, 40, 50, however old you are, that's still true. 3 plus 4 did not become 9 at some point. 3 plus 4 is still 7 and will always be 7. The same is true with these mental and spiritual laws that he's going to speak about here. Once learned, actually before learned, they're true. But once you learn how to use them, you will always know how to use them. And that's very, very important. The laws governing in the mental and spiritual world are as fixed and infallible as those in the material world. To secure the desired results, then, it is necessary to know the law and comply with it. A proper compliance with the law will produce the desired result with invariable exactitude. The law of gravity always works at the same rate, in the same way, every single time. The student who learns that power comes from within, who learns that he is weak only if he is dependent upon help from the outside, and who unhesitatingly throws himself then upon his own thought, instantly rights himself and stands erect, assuming a dominant attitude. And such a person works miracles. It is evident, therefore, that he who fails to fully investigate and take advantage of the wonderful progress which is being made in this last and greatest science, such a person will be soon as far behind as the man who would refuse to acknowledge and accept the benefits which have accrued to mankind through an understanding of the laws of electricity. Of course, mind creates negative conditions just as readily as favorable conditions. In fact, for most of you, that's what you've done your whole life. Most of you watching this have thought more negative thoughts than positive thoughts. And those of you who that's your life story, as Earl Nightingale says, we become what we think about most of the time. Or as I like to flip it around, what we think about most of the time, we become. What we think about most of the time, we get. What we think about most of the time, we live a life congruent with that. So the methods taught in this book are to focus the mind in order to deliberately choose your thoughts, choose your focus, the focus of your concentration, and create life to your liking. It's what Jerry and Esther Hicks would say in their Abraham books, what they would refer to as deliberate creation. That's what this book is going to talk about. It is evident, therefore, that he who fails to fully investigate and take advantage will soon be as far behind as someone who refuses to avail themselves of electricity. Want a demonstration of electricity? There you go. Things got awfully dark awfully quick, and got bright just as fast. And guess what? I can't tell you how to wire this light. I can screw in a light bulb, take the old one out, and flip a switch, and that's all I need to know. And once you learn these laws, there's going to be plenty said in this book to help you understand how they work. You really don't need to know how they work, though. However, if knowing how the laws work is what it takes to get you to apply them, then great. This book will teach you a lot. I have that kind of mind. I have the kind of mind that wants to know how and why something works in order for me to diligently continue doing it. However, by simply applying this in complete ignorance, just obedient, you will still produce the same amazing results, because just like walking out of this window here, I'm going to go down, not up, nor am I going to float. Law of gravity. If I apply the laws stated in this book, whether I understand them or not, they're going to work. Of course, mind creates negative conditions just as readily as favorable conditions. And when we consciously or unconsciously or subconsciously visualize every kind of lack, limitation, and discord, we create these conditions. This is what so many are unconsciously doing all the time. This law, as well as every other law, is no respecter of persons. It is in constant operation and relentlessly bringing to each individual exactly what he or she has created. In other words, whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. End quote. Abundance, therefore, depends upon number one, recognition of the laws of abundance, and two, the fact that mind is not only the creator, but, in fact, is the only creator of all that there is. Certainly nothing can be created before we know that it can be created and then make the proper effort. There is no more electricity in the world today than there was 50 years ago. There's the same amount of electricity now than there was 20 years ago, 50 years ago, 100 years ago, 500 years ago. We just know how to use it now. We know how to channel it. Until someone recognized the law by which it could be made of service, we received no benefit. Now that the law is understood, practically the whole world is lit by it. So with the law of abundance. It is only those who recognize the law and place themselves in harmony with it who share its benefits. The scientific spirit now dominates every field of effort. Relations of cause and effect are no longer ignored. Let's say that again. The scientific spirit now dominates every field of effort. Relations of cause and effect are no longer ignored. The discovery of a region of law marked an epoch in human progress. It eliminated the element of uncertainty and caprice in men's lives and substituted law, reason, and certitude in their place. Now, what is caprice? The dictionary defines caprice as sudden, unpredictable change. In other words, there ain't no such thing as a coincidence, folks. Everything that's in your life you drew in by law of attraction, as we will see later. Men now understand that for every result there is an adequate and definite cause. In other words, something precipitated you being in the position that you are currently in. When a given result is desired, they seek the condition by which alone this result may be attained. The basis upon which all law rests was discovered by inductive reasoning, which consists of comparing a number of separate instances with one another until the common factor which gives rise to them all is seen. It is this method of study to which the civilized nations owe the greater part of their prosperity and the more valuable part of their knowledge. It has lengthened life. It has mitigated pain. It has spanned rivers. It has brightened the night with the splendor of day, extended the range of vision, accelerated motion, annihilated distance, facilitated intercourse, and enabled men to descend into the sea and ascend into the air. What wonder, then, that men soon endeavored to extend the blessings of the system of study to their method of thinking, so that when it became plainly evident that certain results followed a particular method of thinking, it only remained to classify these results. This method is scientific, and it is the only method by which we shall be permitted to retain that degree of liberty and freedom which we have been accustomed to look upon as an inalienable right, because a people is safe at home and in the world only if national preparedness means such things as growing surplus of health, accumulated efficiency in public and private business of whatever sort, continuous advance in the science of art, and the art of acting together, and the increasingly dominant endeavor to make all these and all other aspects of national development center and revolve about ascending life, single and collective, for which science, art, and ethics furnish guidance and controlling motives. In other words, what they're saying here is that in order to keep the liberty and freedom that we look upon as an inalienable right which keeps us safe as home, we have to be prepared. And such things as a growing surplus of health, accumulated efficiency in public and private business of whatever sort, etc., 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 is based on a pattern, an established pattern that can be scientifically proven as factually based. The Master Key is based on absolute scientific truth and will unfold the possibilities that lie dormant in the individual, and it will teach how they may be brought into powerful action in order to increase a person's effective capacity, bringing added energy, discernment, vigor, and mental elasticity. The student who gains an understanding of the mental laws which are unfolded will come into the possession of an ability to secure results hitherto undreamed of, and which has rewards hardly to be expressed in words. It explains the correct use. He's still talking about the Master Key. The Master Key explains the correct use of both the receptive and active elements of the mental nature. It instructs the student in the recognition of opportunity. It strengthens the will and the reasoning powers and teaches the cultivation and best uses of imagination, desire, the emotions, the intuitional faculty. It gives initiative, tenacity of purpose, wisdom of choice, intelligent empathy, and a thorough enjoyment of life on its higher planes. The Master Key teaches the use of mind power. Think about that. The use of mind power. It can be called mind power because he's talking about using it, because power used. Power used, in fact, actually is power. Otherwise, it's mind power unused is not power, it's just knowledge. The Master Key teaches the use of mind power, true mind power, not any of the substitutes and perversions. It has nothing to do with hypnotism, magic, or any of the more or less fascinating deceptions by which many are led to think that something can be had for nothing. Now, he's not talking about hypnotism in terms of medicinal value, where they actually take you in and find something of value in your past that was locked away consciously. He's not talking about that kind of hypnotism. The master key cultivates and develops understanding, which will enable you to control the body and thereby the health. It improves and strengthens the memory. It develops insight, the kind of insight which is so rare, the kind which is the distinguishing characteristic of every successful businessman, the kind which enables men to see the possibilities as well as the difficulties in any situation, the kind which enables men to discern opportunity close at hand. For thousands fail to see opportunities almost within their grasp, while they are industriously working with situations which under no possibility can be made to realize any substantial return. So what does all this mean? It means that the master key will develop your insight so that you're not wasting your energy units. Because so many people work and work and work and work and work and work and work, seemingly. In other words, they're always doing something, and are going absolutely nowhere. Whereas many are doing what seems to be nothing, and yet they're getting everything done. The master key will teach us how to, with a lot of mind effort and very specifically focused action, attain tremendous results to where people looking on will say, you know, it didn't really look like you did that much. They didn't, because they did it here for a long time before they did the physical action. Now we're going to take a break. This is Foreword Part 1. We are going to do Foreword Part 2 in our next video. Everybody have a wonderful evening or morning, depending on what time you're watching this, and we'll see you on the next video.